Welcome to the Logistics Point interviews. We are joined by Mike Richmond, who is the Chief Commercial Officer at Doddle. And we're going to talk about e-commerce and a very interesting side of e-commerce, which is consumers' emotions. Mike, thank you very much for joining me. What is the role of emotions in e-commerce?
So I think emotion is fundamental. I think it's so important. Like if you think about a very personal level, if you have a good experience and you're happy, you are more likely to repeat that behavior. If you had a bad experience and you're unhappy, you're less likely to. Positive emotions drive an increase in value, and negative emotions drive a decrease in value. And I'm thinking about value of the customer there. So if I'm a merchant and I'm unable to drive positive emotions to a consumer, then they are not going to be valuable, or they're going to become a less valuable customer to me as that merchant. And I think that's what really starts to play into delivery. When I get things delivered, I find myself becoming extremely happy or extremely sad when I get the item. So you have very strong emotions, I think, around delivery and also around returns, the painful process of returning items. So I think emotion is really, really important.
So how can the logistics company navigate through all of this and make sure that whatever they deliver produces this happiness you talk about?
What I don't see in the delivery sector is real focus on the impact of positive or negative customer experiences on value. If you were to go to talk to a merchant and say, can you tell me about your customer value by delivery option? So your home delivery customers, your express home delivery customers, and your economy home delivery customers, and your PUDO customers, and your click and collect customers. What are their CSAT ratings, their customer satisfaction ratings, or their NPS? What are their average orders per delivery? What are their average basket sizes? What's their customer lifetime value? By delivery option, you often get blank looks. People don't tell you, they don't investigate kind of loyalty in the context of delivery very often, as I see it. And I think there's a huge gap. I think what you find is, you might find a segment that we did this research with one of the leading UK online merchants. And what they found was the 17% of customers who use PUDO for some of their orders were like 2.09 times more valuable than the home delivery only customer. So those customers who are using PUDO are actually a more valuable customer segment. They had higher average basket values and higher order frequencies than those customers who used home delivery only. And for me, just asking that question and then not knowing the answer, and then building on that to think, how do we actually understand if this is cause or effect? Some of that stuff's really, really important. I don't think that conversation's happening enough in e-commerce.
Some of this data is relatively easy to collect and probably analyze, but there is a part of it that specifically around consumers' attitudes and how they feel about the delivery process is much harder. So where do they start from if they need to collect and analyze all of this?
I think the top line data is probably quite easy to collect. So what is my value by customer segment based on delivery? The why of why that's happening is more difficult. We've made some hypotheses around if you're a regular online shopper and you have lots of things being ordered to be delivered to you at any given time, but also you're likely to return some of those items. We've seen those customers use PUDO more because they get control of lots of orders coming at one different time. They can pick them all up at one time and return those types of things. So investigating that hypothesis and testing whether that's true or not is often more difficult. And the best way to do it is asking those customers, whether that be, post-purchase survey type emails. So many merchants now, once their customer has gone through the purchase process, they get followed up with a kind of post-transaction. How did you find the experience? Why did you choose this pickup point? Or whatever it might be. Why did you choose this delivery option? So you can do that, or you can just do general customer insight survey work.
Once you have disappointed the customer, how can you actually make them come back to you and make them happier?
Like if you have a bad delivery or often a bad returns experience where the returning process was costly or difficult or painful, those experiences are things that stop people repurchasing from that merchant and drive people to purchase from those that are seen as more consumer-friendly merchants. And also there's a real peer-to-peer sort of messaging issue now. The idea that when someone has a bad experience, they tell 3 to 5 other people about that bad experience. How you then go about reacquiring those customers, I think, is a really difficult question. I think it costs lots of money. I think promotional activity. I think there'll be some natural period where they will naturally come back into that environment.
If a merchant really wants to control the whole delivery process, sending a parcel to a PUDO, isn't this giving away this control and actually relying on someone else's infrastructure to be good and to deliver good customer service?
They're giving away the control to a carrier. So I buy something from ASOS and it gets delivered by Yodel. ASOS have given that parcel into the control of Yodel, and Yodel are responsible for that delivery experience. So I don't see it as any different really. Yes, there is potentially another partner in the supply chain. There is a shop, or if not a person, but it might be a parcel locker that I can go pick that from. So there's another body in the supply chain, but still you outsource the end-to-end experience, the end-to-end delivery experience to somebody else. They've lost control the minute they give the item to that carrier, to that parcel shop, to that parcel locker. And I guess the way we think about control is from a consumer perspective. When you buy something online, you order it, you get the order confirmation, you may get an email saying the item is on its way. It's on its way to you, but you really generally don't know where that item is typically until it arrives on your doorstep. So you have order, generally you have uncertainty. If you buy something online and get it shipped to a PUDO point, to a parcel locker or a parcel shop, when you buy it online, you know that that item has to be delivered to that location before you can collect it. So you don't really have any uncertainty because it's going to get delivered to a location. And then the next thing you hear about it is it's there. It's ready for you to collect. And so you don't really have the same uncertainty. And I think there's an element of control there from a consumer perspective, which I think is really valuable. We don't talk about enough, that you can turn a negative emotion, go back to what we said at the start, of uncertainty into a positive emotion, which is control and security. And I think that's something that we see as driving some of that behavior I talked about earlier, which is about repeat purchase.
What type of questions and what type of answers should be there to make sure that, yes, we are delivering the best value we possibly can with our network?
I think it depends on what you want to get out of the survey. We worked at Doddle with some of the world's leading posts and parcel carriers on building and creating out-of-home delivery networks, parcel lockers, parcel shops, post offices, those types of networks. I want to know what their experience was like so I can track how positive that was and I can compare it against other delivery options. But I also want to know data like, how did you get to this parcel locker? Did you walk? Did you drive? Did you take a bus? Is this part of a dedicated trip that you're making to pick up this item? Or is this part of something you're doing on the ordinary course? What I want to understand in that consumer behavior is why they're using it. But also that data allows me to build a picture of emissions. So PUDO at its core, if I can deliver 40 items to one parcel locker or 40 items to one post office, as a delivery operator is enormously more efficient. I'm not doing 40 home deliveries, I'm doing one delivery of 40 items. But I can't really say I'm reducing emissions if 40 people then drive to that pickup point and pick up the item. So what I want to understand is how people are using these pickup points, and therefore if they're using emissions efficient modes of transport, doing it as part of doing something else, or doing it by walking and cycling, which we know a lot of people do when they do use pickup points, then I can say it's a much more efficient mode of delivering items, which I think is something that we as an industry need to be super, super hot on, right?
Well, Mike, thank you very much for your time. And as usual, people can learn more about not just Doddle, but the topic we just spoke about in the description below. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Nick.